I remember our first meeting on the steps of the university. A collegial handshake that would doom us both. Your insightful questions during my lectures gave me pause, and I recognized in you something of a kindred spirit. Despite our differences in age and position, we shared a keen fascination for archaeology, folklore, and of course, occultism. Interminable faculty mixers became something of a delight, knowing we'd abscond to a quiet table and lose ourselves in riveting discussion and passionate debate. Commonalities between the mythos of ancient cultures was not a new area of study for either of us, but it was there that we first noticed the pattern. We spent long nights immersed in crumbling, worm-eaten volumes, plumbing the forbidden secrets of antiquity. Between semesters, we would spend our days rambling the woods, talking excitedly of esoteric theory and ancient mysteries. The university's resources were impressive, and yet, on occasion, we relished in first-hand experience. You were my brightest student, my research partner, and my dearest friend. It was you who found the cipher, scribbled hastily in the decaying margins of some long-forgotten tome. Scribbled in blood. Whether by providence or happenstance, we stumbled upon the mark of some strange power invoked the world over, reflected in cultures predating mankind itself. The Iron Crown, enigmatic and ubiquitous. A semicircle, radiating 5 points of power. A symbol hidden deep in the iconography of every ancient empire. The farms and fields of our kingdom, overrun with putrescence and rot. Voracious and decadent, the landowners and peasants alike descended into an orgy of consumption. They emptied their larders, gorging themselves as the world began to crumble. First, they ate the rotten flesh of their animals. Then, still hungry, they turned upon themselves. They thrilled to the succulent flavor that grows up from some nightmare pit far beneath the earth. The landowner's manor. Do you hear the child's cries? The harvest is here. Pity those with a place at the table. Trenches and tents. The front lines of a war that was never fought. Resigned to the end of things, they waited for death. And still they wait. Emptied of mind and spirit by some existential shock, the poor devils roam aimlessly amidst the trees. These seasoned soldiers were deployed to a winding front, meant to prevent the cult's descent from the mountain. When the cult came, no orders were shouted, no swords were drawn. There was only stupefying horror, and the catatonic lethargy that follows it. Within every keep, a general and his loyal, lumbering guard. He has retreated, undying, into a dream, and there he must stay. Another nameless city. Another inferno of mutilation and madness. Rubble and flame, as far as the eye can see. Unhinged by the impending apocalypse, the fanatics burn book and building alike. Centuries of human learning and achievement, ruined by riotous contempt. The fanatics feed themselves to the fire, their flesh melting like candle wax. The library burns, and with it the remains of philosophy, reason, and insight. The conflagration must be stopped. The librarian must be destroyed. Abandoned waterways, home now to far worse than rats. Hidden in warrens and ancient waterways, the swine proliferate unseen and unchecked. There are rumors these rancorous beasts have some demonic spark of otherworldly intelligence. The swine were first reported by denizens of a small hamlet nestled on the western coast. Despite being in perfect working order, it remains damnably stuck just before 12. An early experiment. Gird yourself and don't stand too close. We found the pathetic creature chained to an obelisk, a half-mile beneath the old church ruins. The theory at the time was that harm could be rendered to a subject by proxy. The well-worn seat of our research, still littered with notes, diagrams, and dusty journals. I regret ever buying that cursed clay from which sprung this anathema. Recovered from the sunken temple off the wind-whipped coast, it emanates an antediluvian power. We were able to replicate the dark song, albeit in a more conventional key. It would be unwise to open this hateful portal, if memory serves. You painted without rest for days, babbling incoherently about distant, half-imagined places. The inscription reads, "The sacrifice of hope opens the gate to ruin. Offer of yourself if you crave the void." We reasoned that the mind must be dissected, if it is to be understood. A rare and impressive collection of folklore, ancient wisdom, and sinister secrets. A handsome rendering of some wealthy degenerate. There is something unearthly in the tannin of this unsavory vintage. At last, the great ziggurat, temple of failure and regret. Behold, the source of the stain, gateway to incomprehensible emptiness. The colliginous cathedral, malign temple of the Iron Crown. The Nightmare Gate is revealed. Beyond, only infernal nihility and non-existence. Pity the great denier, chained by its own command. She searches the dying world for the keys to her own salvation. Once she had a sliver of decency, now only greed. The Antiquarian wants what we have, and she will not be denied. We tread beyond the realms of reason. The walker from beyond the stars, a shambling horror. A star-spawned child of the infinite void.